Since the last update video, we have finally assembled tables. We have 3 4x8 tables that I've built in here with some high quality plywood and 2x. We've gained the museum, which is one I'm rather excited about. Can't quite remember how this opens up. Not that way. There it goes. Here. Let me just... Oh, sticking that... Oh, no, you're out of focus. Sorry, I had to fix the light there. Got the curator's office here in the back. And him staring at his telescope, looking at the stars. If you take the staircase down into the second story. I also like the little wind washer guy. I always like window washers. You have the entire solar system. A little diagram of space launch and the Earth. Some various ages of development from ships to Robin Hood apparently, and castles. An anchor on the wall. A curator leading a tour. And some minerals and an older telescope. And that's a little model of a Mars colony, which I thought was cool how they used the little roller skate to look like a drone or a Mars rover. Then we take this down one more story. I never quite seem to get that to click right. The overhang, it doesn't. I never quite want a seat. I'm not exactly certain as to why. There it goes. It's finicky. Very finicky. Might have to fix that later. I'll sit you guys down. You can look at the front of the place a little bit. I guess I should show that as well. We get the cherry blossom tree and the statues and little, the space and dinosaur placard there, and a lady feeding cookies to pigeons. I'm not certain if that's good or not. Don't think pigeons need cookies. There it goes. There it clicks. Just odd. Very odd little roof piece there. Oh, there goes the column. That's what it is. The columns are interfering with it. There, we stick these back in. Odd that it's making it do that. And then you have the first floor, which I currently have the dinosaur out. I was showing it to my friend. I forget what they call these, Stegosaur, Jurassisaur, I don't know. It's one of the plant eaters. And then you have a saber-tooth head and a fossil there, and someone taking pictures, and some fossilized eggs. And here we got some ancient pottery, an example of a volcano, and a thing showing the Earth's core and all of its layers, the crust and whatnot, and some more minerals. All in all, it was a pretty cool addition to the city. There's where the Triceratops, maybe it's a Triceratops, I can't remember. That's where that goes. Oh, and there's a little bathroom and storage closet in there too for researchers. Getting the rest of the buildings set up here as well. I'm about to get to the point where I'm going to actually lay out everything from here going this way. The airport's relatively put together. We got the Death Star, and I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with the wooden ship. But that little bridge there is going to span this gap here. I'll pull them a little tighter. And I'm going to build another bridge in here as well. That one's for cars. I'm going to build another bridge in here for the train. Because what we're working on now, see, I got kind of my loose things like we saw last time still on the shelves. But I'm in the process of getting all the train track and junctions and the trains themselves out together. I have the armies laid out here on this table. This is the newest table. Working on a future video where we'll be doing something very interesting with the clone armies and the you know, ground armies. I think this will be very interesting when I get that put together. Got the AT-AT here and the Avengers planes. But this is probably going to be the harbor, and then this will be the airport, and that'll be primarily the city. And then it'll all have trains connecting it all the way around. So that's kind of what I'm working on now, is getting the trains together. It's a lot of track. I think it'll be easier to set up the trains, as it were, and then build the city around it versus trying to build everything and then add the trains in. It's always difficult to get the trains to fit right, especially because, like, these junctions, as you see, they're not on standard grids. The curves are very good at breaking your grid. I have learned some tricks over the years that help a lot with that. For instance, if you take some pegs and stick them on there, then you can insert them to the mid spaces between 4x's on a plate. Here, I'll demonstrate that for you. Whereas a normal piece of track will just, you know, click right onto your grid, no problem, no issue in the world. Of course, if you try to take a curved piece of track, you can connect it in intervals, but then you're getting these bumps. Let's see if you see that, those little gaps, because it's not quite fitting, it's bowing is what it's doing, which isn't very good for it either. But if you insert these pegs on there, then you can stick them into those mid spaces, and it elevates the track ever so slightly. But it does give you the opportunity to integrate it with your grid more so. Oh, I don't lose my pegs. And that's what I was saying about sticking it in a mid zone. You know, you can stick pegs in there. I'm sure most of you are aware of that, but some people aren't, I'm sure. And then even then you can pivot it a little bit, which also helps if you're trying to get them to just kind of finick together, because sometimes they can be tricky. And I was looking for the loose track. Don't seem to have any pieces handy, but I'm not certain if they still make it. But in the old days, they used to make a track. I have quite a bit of it that flexes. It's a very flexible track. They're very small. They're in sections about this long, and you have to stick, I think, 4 of them, maybe 5 of them together in order to make a curve like this, a standard curve section. And they do curve on the same radii, maybe a little tighter than these, if you get more of them together, of course. You can make a complete circle with them, and about 2/3 of the diameter, you could make a complete circle with these. So they're rather useful in that context. And I'm not certain if Lego still makes them. If they don't, I'm very sad. I'm fortunate enough that I have quite a bit of them myself, so that's not too big of a concern, as it were. Yeah, it's just kind of at the point where, you know, this is just kind of here. Everything's just kind of here. The airport's the only table I've really kind of thought about the layout of it, and I assure you this isn't the final layout of it, particularly all the big grays in the back. This is just kind of how I have it now while I was trying to figure out the scale of it. It is convenient building these things on 4x8 sheets, because these are right at, I think, 10 inches. So it's pretty easy to integrate them, considering they're about 1 foot by 1 foot. So you can kind of, you know, imagine it 4x4x8. Take us back over here. It's just currently integrating everything. Oh, yes, I want to show this too. This is the newest building. We have one of these Avenger planes, the AT-AT here. This is what I got for my birthday, also Christmas. I've got to put all the people in it. It came with quite a few people. I was actually amazed, like I did the museum. But it's It's a botanical gardens with a big glass roof, and I like the size of it too because it's 2 whole grids. I like the museum because it's a grid and a half, and I have a lot of half buildings, so having that extra half generally helps to break the grid up a little bit with those half buildings. And I had an odd number of them, so it allows me to get it back to even so that I can you know, do my roads around it. I was using the half left over from the London Bridge kind of like as a plug building to be able to fill in a full road grid, so I didn't have a half space I wasn't quite certain what to do with. But give you all a look-see here of the botanical gardens. The roof comes off far simpler than it does the museum. And we got some trees. These are really interesting because they're on plugs, so you can just kind of pull them out. Both of them, that is. Just kind of pop out. Try this a little more. Very unique tree. And then we a lot of flowers, which were not easy to put together, and some mushrooms. This was rather complex. I think it still took me a day, but a good part of a day. There you go, some more vines and shrubbery over here. And then these 2 sections, they come apart rather interestingly as well, because the front of this one comes off, and you can see it's a little dinette kind of coffee shop deal with some cupcakes and some hanging plants. Put that back on. Put this roof back on. A little squirrel in the trash can with the garden hose in the back there, which I thought was cute. And then we have a garden over here for cactuses, and it's a desert plot. Put these buildings back in here. The trees, I mean. That's pretty well it. Just kind of an update of what's going on here. More videos to come.